Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phi and this is Money Phi'losophy. Thank you for coming back for another day of Tesla analysis. I am sorry that the last 2 months I have not been able to make a lot of videos for you guys. I've had a crazy summer with kids being out of school, lots of activities, family vacation. I had COVID, and then on top of that I had to return to the office 2 to 3 days a week, which severely limited my time availability to make videos for you guys. Having said all of that, I am still very passionate about the stock market and about Tesla in particular. And I think we are at the point in the stock market overall that we might bounce very soon here. So I'd love to share with you my observation and trading experience, as well as experience as an investor. If you have any questions or comment, or just simply want to welcome me back, please send me your comments down below. I'll do my best to respond to those. Thank you very much for all of my subscribers and followers who have been very encouraging over the last few months. And I am back now, and I hope to continue making more meaningful videos for you guys. Thank you very much, and let's dive right in. So before we talk about Tesla, let's talk about the NASDAQ really quick. I'm looking at the E-mini series here. And on the daily chart. So as you can see that the volume is 260%. We still have about 45 more minutes to go before the market concludes for the trading day. And you look at this daily candle, which signals a very strong bounce. Regardless, it is still below 50 days SMA, and 50 days SMA is at 12,643. Having said all of that, I think this is a very good indicator for a bounce that is upcoming, particularly coupled with the volume that is over 260% today. In my mind, Tesla hasn't been beaten up as badly as other technology stocks, but it is important to also look at Tesla in conjunction with the rest of the market. Today's candle is also very strong. However, the pattern has been sort of moving right below 50 days SMA and 200 days SMA. These 2 points are roughly around $290 right now, and Tesla is just trading shy of $290. If Tesla does get back to above 291.50, then that is above 200 days SMA, and it probably would bounce together with the market. Keep in mind that Tesla has a very strong resistance at around $310. It hit that level a couple of days ago and retraced back. So it is continuing to be a multi-top for Tesla at the moment. Even though after it surpassed $311, if it does get there, the next pass should be $335, which is all-time high for Tesla. Today's volume is only 74%, so I expect it ends the day at around 80 to 85%, which is not bad volume, but it also not amazing either. If you look at the QQQ, volume is 113% for the day so far, so it would end the day around 120, 125. Netflix in particular is 161%, so that is definitely something to keep an eye on. The Dow Jones and Boeing is also over 100% in volume so far. So these are the stocks that we want to pay attention to and see what it will do in the next couple of days. But Netflix, Netflix with this volume, it is hopeful that it will continue to spike forward. Let's look at Tesla a little bit from a technicality standpoint. So Tesla hit an oversold condition on the 23rd of September, and that was last Friday. And ever since then, it tried to bounce as much as it can, but it hasn't made any significant move here. I would like to see Tesla once again above $291. Let's go to the hourly chart here. The pivot points for today, the middle pivot point was around $283, so it is pretty much just around there. It hit the bottom pivot point this morning, $277, and bounced right off of that. We know that the market would bounce today given that carry trade was reversing in the green. If you're not too familiar with carry trade, head over to my Patreon page, link down below. I will explain carry trade there in a separate video. But if Tesla ends the day somewhere around 289, it is a very good sign for Tesla. I don't think Tesla would get all the way to the upper end of the pivot here, which is 294. but you never know. For tomorrow, the pivot points are 293, 284, and 280, which are a little bit higher than the bottom pivot points for today. With Tesla, we also need to pay attention to the timeline where Tesla would be releasing quarterly earnings and quarterly delivery results. And I believe that day would probably be the 2nd of October. The quarter would conclude on Friday on the 30th. Tesla usually would take a day to review all of its results, and it should likely report the number on the 2nd, and if not, the 3rd at the latest. This quarter in particular, there are not a whole lot of shutdowns in Shanghai, and Austin has been producing and ramping up pretty nicely, so I expect this quarter to be a very good quarter for Tesla. On top of that, the Model S and X Plaid have been released and has been sold for the last few months, and it has also been contributed significantly to Tesla, both volume and margin, particularly margin. So I would say that Monday, October 3rd, see volatile activities and volume for Tesla on the 3rd and possibly even the 4th of October. Looking at the weekly chart here, as we can see that Tesla hasn't been moving down as badly as the rest of the technology sector, and we'll go through a couple of those technology stocks later. But looking at this chart here, you can see that Tesla has made a multi-top. One can say that this is a giant head and shoulder, with this being the left shoulder, this middle part being the head, and this right hand here is the shoulder. Potentially, if that's the case, then Tesla could fall down to about $130 something before moving back up. That is possible, at least on the weekly chart, but given the fact that we are seeing Q3 delivery result coming up, and assuming that is a fantastic quarter, chances are Tesla will be able to pull through this shoulder here and go back up. So that is my general thoughts on Tesla. A lot will be contingent on the delivery result, but from now until Friday, I expect some volatility, potentially Tesla moving up in anticipation of good earnings, good quarterly delivery result. And then next week, Tesla could potentially move sideways, release a little bit of the pressure on the buy side, have a little bit of a sell-off, and then depending on the ultimate result for the quarter, it could potentially go back up to 335, potentially more. We will touch base on that next week. I want to spend some time on some other technology sector stocks that are relevant to our analysis here. As usual, my go-to stock would be Amazon. This is still the weekly chart. Amazon has very strong weekly support at around $103, $108 range. And even though it hasn't gotten back there, that is a very decent support and bottom for Amazon. If Amazon ever get back there, I think that will be a very good buying opportunities. If I am going back to the daily chart here, so if you notice here, Amazon 50 days SMA is still below 200 days SMA, and 50 days SMA is at 130, 200 days SMA is 137. And right now, Amazon is trading below both of these numbers. The recent high for Amazon was approximately $146, and that was around mid-August. It's been a month and a half, and Amazon will potentially make it back up there. But first, it needs to surpass 50 days SMA and then subsequently 200 days SMA. Volume today is predominantly buy volume. However, it's only 80% in volume, so we would expect it to end the day at 85 or 90%. Once again, that's average to that's average volume. It's not bad volume, but it's also not outstanding volume. But this daily candle represents a lot of hope. It is a bullish engulfing compared to the candle before. But a lot can still happen before Amazon can get back to 130. Let's take a look at Netflix. So Netflix usually the first to announce earnings among all of the technology sector or the FANG stock. And today, for some reason, Netflix is spiking up pretty heavily for the day. It has gone above 50 days SMA, and 50 days SMA is at 230. So it started the day at around 50 days SMA, fought very hard to stay above it and spike all the way up to 245 currently. The 200 days SMA for Netflix is around 309. So Netflix has a little bit to go before getting there. Last two earnings, it's been beating up pretty badly, and it hasn't been able to fill the gap. Once Netflix get back up to 248 and with strong volume, I strongly believe that it will fill this earnings gap from Q1 2022, and it will get to $333. So that's something to think about. This particular pattern here, depending on how you look at it, one can say this is an inverse head and shoulder pattern. It is not extremely clear, but it is a pattern that it looks to me like Netflix is ready to rise back up. So pay attention to that. Together with the volume today, it would make a very good either trade or short-term holdings if you are interested. I'm going to also take a look at Nvidia. Nvidia is one of my holding, and lately it took a beating pretty terribly when their regulatory when there were regulatory orders to for Nvidia to stop selling chips to China. That said, this is still a very good company, and I believe that the regulatory order could be a temporary measure for various issues, and if and when everything is back to normal, Nvidia has every reason to go back up. And for right now, Nvidia represents a really good buy. I think Nvidia needs to go back up to 161, which is 50 days SMA, before we have any chance to resume bullish. 200 days SMA is at 206. So between 162 and 206, Nvidia has a long way to go, be it currently at $127. Volume today is only 77%. Once again, a little bit below average, nothing to write home about. And lastly, let's take a look at Boeing with 141% in volume. So Boeing would end the day roughly 150% in volume. Boeing is in the Dow and not in the NASDAQ, but I still wanted to review Boeing. Boeing has multiple bottom here, also very much primed to reverse. This is a oversold condition just 3 days ago. So once again, I think this is a good opportunity to jump into Boeing for short-term holding or even options trading. I probably will take a look at Boeing for very short-term holdings and for it to bounce just to about $157 or $160, and that's still about 20% from here. Apple has been pretty consistent. Apple is always a stable stock and a stock that people will go in to buy in time of volatility or bear market. Today, with a very long wick at the bottom, touched support point at 144 and bounced right back up. I think Apple is also aiming for reversal. Even though right now the 50 days SMA and 200 days SMA are at 160, Apple still have a long way to go before getting there, much less back to all-time high. But I do think that Apple has divergence here on the RSI level. Volume is also very good today at 145, predominantly buy volume if you notice this bar, even though the price action has been going down. So overall, I think the market is primed to reverse. I just can't tell you exactly when, and I don't self-proclaim to say I'm the stock market guru. I only trade based on what I see, both technical analysis and fundamental analysis. In these video series, I want to share with you volume, chart pattern, and predict the short-term price action. But I am also an investor, so I do believe that this is the time for me to go in and buy a little bit heavier. Obviously, this is not financial advice, so take it with a grain of salt. But in my mind, I feel very confident that the market is ready to reverse in the next few days. And fingers crossed that Tesla delivery results will not only surpass analyst expectation, but wow every single analyst out there, because that would be a ticket for Tesla to get back to its previous all-time high. In a way, I want to say this is the last chance to jump on and buy Tesla. But of course, if you listen to my channel, you know I've been saying the same thing over and over again. This is your last chance of a decade to buy Tesla. Without further ado, thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you for coming back to my channel. I hope that you find value and information in my channel and come back anytime.